All right, so what we'll do is just do a brief overview kind of the front panel here. So on the very left, we have our programming slot. Now it's going to give us access to our little LCD screen that we can go in, change patches, change global settings, change MIDI channel assignments, and even sequencing and arpeggiating settings. So that's a handy one to have, and it's a nice big screen, so it's easily visible. The next slot over here with this flashing light, here's our arpeggiator slot. So this is going to give us, our tempo. We can also sync to a computer or to a drum machine, whatever. We have our range. You have our back, forth, invert, and we have down here, we can do an up arpeggiation, a down, an order, random, sequence, and now record. So when I'm in record, I can now play, and it will essentially capture whatever it is. I go back to sequence, turn it on, say latch. So that's how that works. Now, you're hearing a little reverberation. That's actually coming from the AMS. No, what is that? That's the EMT 250 digital reverb from the UAD plugin. Very nice. So now the next slot over is our glide. So this is going to give us access to our portamento. So we'll give it a little bit of time here. More. Cool thing is that we can affect not only both, but oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. So if I go ahead and turn on oscillator 2 here, let's just do 1. That's really handy. Now, here we have exponential, we have linear, I'm not quite sure, LCR, LCT, and exponential. Different styles of portamento, essentially. Exponential means that no matter what timing you have, when I go from C to C, it's going to be the same time as if I go from C to B flat. So that's really handy. Whereas if I'm in linear, see how it takes longer to rise the farther away from the root note you go. And you can also turn that off, and it has gated mode. So gated means it's always going to do the legato, the portamento, or you can hit legato. And now legato, it will only work when you tie two notes together. So if I go like, say, just like that. Now, mod 1 and mod 2, these are both identical. Now, here's our LFOs. So we have our LFO rate. We can also sync it to the clock if we want to, or we can have it just free running. The cool thing too is that previously in Sub-Fatty you used to have to dive through menus. Well, now we have a high range and a low range. So the high range goes into it does go into audio rate, I think up to 1 kilohertz, and low range will go way, way down to 0.01 hertz, I believe. We also have our waveform, LFO waveform selector switches. We have keyboard reset, so the LFO will continually reset every time you hit a new note. We have pitch amount. So right off the bat, I can affect the pitch, I can affect the filter, I can affect the pitch of only oscillator 1 or oscillator 2 just from these front controls, and they're on both mod buses. So that's really handy. Say we do a, ramp wave. Turn it up a little bit. So right away, very quickly, you can get to pitch, you can get to filter, and I can select either oscillator 1 or 2. So that's handy. Now down here where it says controllers, if I select this, now I can go ahead and choose what controller I want to use to affect a certain modulation. So right now, modulation wheel 100%. Okay, so now whatever I assign to this special little source, I'll be able to affect it with the mod wheel. This is where it's handy with the new update, because before we used to have to go into menus and blah blah blah. Not anymore. Say I want to affect, I don't know, the on and off of the sub oscillator. I can hold down the mod destination button, I can hit the sub oscillator power button, and away we go. Put it on square wave, give it some power. Just like that. So that's super handy. Or I can even affect the filter pole. So that's awesome, and it gives us 2 buses, so that's super helpful. Now we have our oscillator section. We have oscillator 1, we have oscillator 2. These are both identical. We have our keyboard control selector switch, and the really cool thing is duo mode. So in duo mode, sweet, that's freaking awesome. So essentially I'm basically playing 2 oscillators separately. Oscillator 1 is the left hand, oscillator 2 is the right hand. We also have hard sync. We also have keyboard reset now. So that's helpful. Great for nice punchy bass lines. We have our oscillator 2 frequency. And we have our beat frequency. Now listen to the difference. See how it starts to go faster the higher up I go? Now if I do this, so it maintains the same relationship of the 2 oscillators being detuned slightly the whole way of the keyboard. That's great. Now moving on, we have our mixer section. Oscillator 1, sub-oscillator. Oscillator 2, noise and feedback external input. Now, the great thing is that we now have switches. So we can add turn power on and off to all of these oscillators. We can turn on and off the noise or even the feedback, instead of just having the volume, say, all the way down. That's really cool, because now, say let's do, you know what, let's run our sequence. I'll turn on the sub-oscillator. I'll turn on oscillator 2. Maybe I want to make that a, pulse width modulation. Not a problem. Let me hold down my destination button. I'll turn my wave knob. Give it a little bit of effect. Make sure I'm on a triangle wave. Pretty nice, right? Look how high this goes, too. Nice. So, super helpful. So right there, I just affected the pulse width of oscillator 2 as well as the filter, and I affected it at an audio rate by turning it in the high range in 100%. the cool thing is that you can actually modulate the on and off of these like you saw me do previously with the sub oscillator, and you can do them to a rhythm so they're all in sync. Moving on, we have our filter section, standard cutoff. Here's the multi-drive, similar to the sub-fatty, but a little bit more enhanced. We also have our resonance knob. And now the previous sub-fatty, what we have to do to get our slopes to change is dive through the menu and blah, 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 or do that fancy, hit the key, hit the button, the certain, like video game style, hit a key and hold a certain combinations of button, because there wasn't even a menu system in it that you could visually see. Now, we can just hit a button and select our poles. So that's fantastic. We have our envelope amount for our filter. We also have keyboard tracking, so we could do no keyboard tracking. We could do a one-to-one relationship of keyboard tracking. Now this is cool because this is where you can actually play the filter, right? So we'll turn the resonance all the way up. And you can even do portamento on it. So that's awesome. And it's all right here. Or you can do a 2-to-1 relationship. Cool. Now moving on from that, we have our envelope generator, and we have our amplifier envelope generator. Now this is what I was talking about. So we get multi-trig, so that means that it's always going to, let's do a default. Give it some amount. See that? So now, unless I go, it's not going to trigger it. Now that's good on some stuff, but not exactly what I'm looking to try to be doing. So with that, I can hit the multi-trig. And it's going to fire it every single time. Same with reset. And it goes with the amplifier envelope as well. You have multi-trig, you have reset, we have sync, we have loop. And that's going to be based on the speed of the attack and release. And you have latch on. So this is going to essentially be like tape on a key. Now you can fuss about all you want. Our volume knob, mute button, that's handy, and a headphone output with its own volume knob, though it is still dependent among the main output. So all in all, this keyboard is awesome. You get so much for the money. It's such a nice, rugged, just damn good looking keyboard. So here's the input section and output. We got MIDI in, MIDI out, we have USB. What else we got? Volume control voltage, pitch control voltage, filter control voltage, keyboard gate, audio input, and our audio output, and a nice standard IEC cable. Well, thanks guys. Thanks for joining me. Let me know what y'all think about this synthesizer. Hey, if you got any questions, you want to know how to do something, or if you even have any tips or tricks for me that you'd like to tell me, go ahead and write down below, fill out a comment, and I'll definitely get back to you. I appreciate all your support, you guys. Great. Keep on subscribing. Let me know what else you guys are interested in. What would you like to see? Until next time, talk to you later.